Before this story begins, make sure you're alone, because what you're about to hear is not just a story. Some people say these things aren't real, but the truth is, not everything wants to be believed. Some things just want to be found. If you're still here, then let's begin. My name is Elias Thorne, and I think I made a mistake. Not a big, obvious mistake, but the kind that creeps up on you slowly. The kind you don't realize until it's already too late. It was around 11:47 p.m. when I first found the entrance. Elite Fitness Vault. The sign was barely hanging, flickering under a dying yellow bulb. Half the letters were scratched out, and the rest looked like they hadn't been cleaned in years. It didn't look like a gym. It looked abandoned. But the ad I saw online promised something else. Old school training, no crowd, dirt cheap membership. And I needed that. No distractions, no waiting for machines, just me and iron. The door wasn't locked. That should have been my first warning. It creaked open like it hadn't been used in years, revealing a narrow stairway going down, deeper than I expected. The air that came from below was cold. Not fresh cold, but damp, stale, like something had been sealed underground for too long. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I stepped in. Each step echoed louder than it should have. Thuk, thuk, thuk. The sound didn't just bounce back, it stretched, like the corridor itself was longer than what I could see. There were lights, but not enough. Dim tubes flickered overhead, buzzing softly. Some parts of the walls were peeling. Others looked scratched. Not damaged, scratched, like something had dragged across them repeatedly. When I reached the bottom, I stopped. The gym floor opened in front of me, wide, empty, silent. Old machines, rusted plates, benches that looked like they had seen decades of use. And yet, everything was perfectly arranged, too perfectly, like someone still used this place. I dropped my bag near a bench and turned on my flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, sliding across machines, mirrors, and then I froze. For a split second, I thought I saw movement near the far wall, but when I focused the light there, nothing. Just a punching bag, gently swinging. I hadn't touched it. There was no wind, no sound, nothing. And yet, it was still moving. I told myself it was nothing. Old building, air pressure, loose chains. Yeah, that made sense, right? But as I stepped further inside, I realized something else. There were no cameras, no staff, no other members, just me. And the sound of something, faintly echoing, from deeper inside the corridors behind the gym floor. A slow, metallic clink, like someone, somewhere, was lifting weights. And I was absolutely sure of one thing. I wasn't alone down here. I stood there for a few seconds, just listening. That metallic clink came again, slow, heavy, controlled, like someone doing reps. But that made no sense. I had just come in. No one passed me. No one was upstairs. Still, someone was working out. I grabbed a dumbbell from the rack, just instinct, I guess, and started walking toward the back corridor. The deeper I went, the colder it got. The air changed. It wasn't just damp anymore. It smelled like iron. The sound stopped, just like that, mid-step. I froze. My flashlight trembled slightly as I pointed it ahead. "Hello?" I called out. No response, only silence. But then I noticed something. Footprints on the dusty floor. Fresh. And they didn't come from the entrance. They came from deeper inside. The corridor led me to a locker room, or what used to be one. Half the lockers were broken. Some doors hung open. Others looked bent outward. Not forced open, pulled from inside. I stepped in slowly.
The smell hit me first. Not rot, not exactly, just stale, like sweat that never left. My flashlight slid across the lockers until it stopped. One of them was closed, perfectly intact, unlike the others. And it was vibrating, very slightly, like something inside was moving. I stepped closer. Every instinct told me to walk away, but I didn't. I reached out and touched the handle. It was warm. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Something in my gut just refused. Instead, I stepped back. That's when I noticed the mirror, a long, cracked mirror along the wall. I pointed my flashlight at it. My reflection stared back at me, sweaty, tense, alert, normal. But then, I blinked, and for a split second, my reflection didn't. I froze. My chest tightened. "No," I whispered. I moved my hand slowly. This time, the reflection followed, perfectly. I stepped closer, closer, closer. And then I saw it, behind me, in the reflection. Something tall, standing in the darkness. I spun around instantly. Nothing. When I looked back at the mirror, it was gone. I went back to the main gym floor, fast, too fast. I told myself I was overthinking. Old buildings do weird things. Mirrors distort. Metal expands. Sound travels. Yeah, that's all it was. I dropped the dumbbell and decided to actually train. That's why I came here, right? I loaded a barbell, started bench pressing. 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps. On the 4th rep, I felt it. Someone was standing behind me. Not touching, not helping, just watching. I racked the weight immediately and sat up, turned around. No one. But the barbell was still shaking, like someone had just let go of it. That's when I saw it. Something I hadn't noticed before. On the far wall, written in faded red paint, almost invisible unless you really looked. I walked closer, shined my light directly on it. There were words, handwritten, messy, uneven. "People train here every night." My throat went dry. I leaned in closer. There was more. Then, the rest of the sentence was scratched out, violently, like someone didn't want it to be read. But below it, very faintly, something was carved into the wall. I traced it with my fingers, slowly. "They stopped looking human." I stepped back instantly, heart pounding. And then, behind me, that metallic clink came again. Closer this time, much closer. That clink, it came again, closer, right behind me this time. I didn't turn around immediately. I don't know why. Maybe fear, maybe instinct. Slowly, I looked over my shoulder. Nothing. But the plates on the rack, one of them was still moving, spinning slightly, as if someone had just placed it there. I swallowed hard. "Okay," I whispered. "Not real." I walked back to the bench, forced myself to continue. Second set. I lay down, gripped tight, started lifting. 1, 2, 3. On the 4th rep, the bar got heavier. Not just weight, pressure, like someone was pushing it down. I struggled. My arms shook. No. And then suddenly, the pressure vanished. The bar shot back up, too fast, almost slipped from my hands. I sat up immediately, breathing hard. And this time, I didn't feel alone. I knew I wasn't. I needed space, air, distance. I grabbed my flashlight and moved toward another corridor I hadn't checked yet. Narrow, long, too long. At the end, there was a room full of treadmills, old ones, dusty, disconnected. Or at least, they should have been. Because one of them was running, slow, steady. Creak, creak, creak.
No display, no power, nothing connected. But it was moving. I stepped closer. My light flickered. And then I noticed something. On the belt. Footprints. Not just one set. Dozens. Layered. Overlapping. Like people had been running there for a very long time. Without stopping. I turned it off, or at least I tried to. The button didn't work. The treadmill slowed on its own, gradually, until it stopped. Silence. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Slow, deep, heavy. Right next to my ear. I froze, didn't move, didn't turn, because I could feel it. Warm air on my neck. Something was standing right behind me, breathing. And then it inhaled sharply, like it was smelling me. I turned instantly. Nothing. But the mirrors, all of them, were fogged. From the inside, I went back. I don't know why, but I did. That locker, the one that was warm. It was open now. I stopped a few steps away, my chest tight. I was sure I hadn't opened it before. Inside, there was nothing. No clothes, no bag, no sign of anyone. Just scratches. Deep, all over the inside walls. And at the bottom, something written. Not paint, not marker. Carved. Don't stay after midnight. I checked my watch. 12:38 a.m. I was already late. I didn't think anymore. I just walked, fast, through the corridor, past the gym floor, toward the stairs. But when I reached the end, I stopped. There were no stairs. Just a wall. Solid. Cold. Concrete. No, I whispered. I ran my hands across it, searching, panicking. The entrance was gone. And behind me, I heard it again. Multiple sounds now. Weights clanking, footsteps dragging. Not one presence, many. I turned slowly. The gym floor wasn't empty anymore. Figures, standing, near machines, near racks, near mirrors. Still, silent, human, almost. Too still, too perfect. Their bodies were wrong. Too muscular, too stretched, like something had grown beyond limits. And their faces, I couldn't see them clearly because none of them were looking at me. Not yet. But I realized something. Something that made my blood run cold. They were all facing the mirrors. And in the reflection, they were looking straight at me. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I just stood there. Those things, they still hadn't turned toward me, not physically, but in the mirrors. Every single one of them was staring directly at me, unblinking, smiling. My grip tightened around the flashlight. Don't look back, I whispered to myself. I don't know why I said that, but it felt right. So I did the only thing I could. I stepped backward, slowly, carefully. One step, then another. None of them moved, but the moment my foot scraped the floor, a sound echoed. And instantly, every reflection smiled wider. Too wide. And then, one of them twitched. Not in front of me, in the mirror. I couldn't stop myself. I looked directly at one of them. It stood near the squat rack. Tall. Too tall. Its back facing me. Slowly, its head began to turn. Not its body, just the head. I heard something crack. Bone, muscle, something not meant to move like that. It turned. Further. Further, until its face was looking at me, but its body was still facing away. My stomach dropped, and then it smiled. The same smile, from the mirror. And behind me, something stepped closer. That was it. I ran, didn't think, didn't look, just ran. But the moment I did, they moved too. Not fast, not chasing, walking, in sync. Every step I took, they took one too. Heavy, controlled, like a workout. I turned into a side corridor, my light shaking violently, but the sound followed. Thack, thack, thack. And then I heard it. Breathing. Multiple, right behind me, matching my pace. I slammed into a door, locked. No, no, no. I turned around. They were closer now, still walking, still calm. And then I noticed something. One of them was different. It wasn't walking. It was crawling. But not on all fours. Its limbs bent wrong, dragging itself forward, faster than the others, and its face, it wasn't smiling. It was hungry. It suddenly lunged forward. I screamed, and the lights went out. Darkness, total. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Then, my flashlight flickered back on. I was alone. No corridor, no door. Back on the main gym floor. Everything normal. Empty. Weights, machines, silence. Like nothing happened. I laughed, nervously. Okay, yeah, I'm losing it. I turned toward the mirror and froze, because this time, my reflection wasn't me. It was bigger, more muscular, and it was smiling, even though I wasn't. I stepped back, shaking. No, no, no. But the reflection didn't move. It just tilted its head. And then it spoke. Not out loud, inside my head. You stayed. My breath caught. You trained. My hands started trembling. You belong here now. I stumbled back. Behind me, I heard the weights again. This time, right next to me. And slowly, something placed a hand on my shoulder. Heavy, cold, and strong. That hand on my shoulder, it tightened. Not painfully, not aggressively, but firmly. Like a trainer correcting posture. I couldn't move. My body just locked. Fix your form. The voice again, inside my head. Calm, controlled. My arms lifted on their own. My grip tightened around an invisible bar. No, I whispered. This isn't real. But my body didn't listen. I was lying on the bench again. I don't remember going there. The barbell was above me, loaded, heavy. And then, it started lowering, on its own. The bar touched my chest. Push. I didn't want to, but my arms moved anyway. Up, slow, controlled, perfect form. Again. Down. Up. Again. 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 My muscles burned, my lungs screamed, but I couldn't stop. I turned my head slightly and saw them, standing around me, watching, not moving, not blinking, just observing, like I was part of their routine now. Something felt wrong. Not outside, inside. My muscles, they were tightening, swelling, too fast. Veins bulged across my arms. My chest felt like it was stretching. Pain, sharp, deep. I gasped, but the reps didn't stop. You adapt, The voice whispered, "You improve." I looked at my hands. They didn't look like mine anymore. Bigger, thicker, wrong. The bar finally stopped. I sat up instantly, fell off the bench, gasping. My body felt heavier, stronger, but not mine. I looked up. One of them stepped forward, closer than the others, and this time, it wasn't just a shape. I could see its face, or what used to be a face. Skin stretched tight, eyes too deep, smile carved too wide. And then, I realized something. It looked familiar. Too familiar, because it looked like me. No. I forced myself up, stumbled backward. I'm not staying here. I turned and ran, again. But this time, they didn't follow. They just watched. Every single one of them. Watching. Waiting. Like they already knew I wouldn't get far. I reached another corridor, turned sharply, and saw it. A staircase. My chest filled with hope. I ran toward it, but as I got closer, the steps started going down, not up. Endlessly. I stopped at the edge, breathing hard. "No exit," I whispered. "Only deeper." The voice again, but this time, it wasn't just in my head. It echoed. Everywhere. "This is not a gym." My heart pounded. "It's a process." I slowly turned around. They were all behind me now. Closer. "You came to grow stronger." One stepped forward. "And you will." Another voice joined. "Everyone does." I shook my head. No, I didn't sign up for this. You did." Silence. And then, all of them spoke together. "When you walked in." My flashlight flickered, and for a moment, I saw something deeper behind them, something huge, watching all of us, like they weren't in control either. That shadow behind them, it wasn't just big, it was wrong. Too large to fit in the space, too still to be alive, and yet, I could feel it watching, not just my body, my thoughts. I stepped back slowly. "No," I whispered. "You're not real." The figures didn't react, but that thing behind them, it shifted. Not forward, not backward, but closer, without moving. My head started pounding, like something was pressing inside my skull. "You see it now." The voice, deeper this time, heavier. "Good." I grabbed my head, fell to one knee. "What is this place?" I gasped. The answer came instantly, not spoken, injected. Images flooded my mind. People, normal people, walking into the gym just like I did, lifting weights, training, sweating, then changing. Muscles growing too fast, bones stretching, smiles widening, and eventually stopping, standing, watching, becoming part of it. "This place doesn't train bodies," the voice echoed. "It builds vessels." My blood ran cold. "For us." "No!" I slammed my fist into the floor, hard. Pain shot through my arm, real pain. Good. That meant I still had control. "I'm not one of you!" I forced myself to stand. My body resisted, heavy, slow, like something inside me didn't want me to move. I turned away from them, from the staircase, from that thing, and ran toward the locker room again. If there was any clue, any way out, it had to be there. Behind me, for the first time, they reacted. A single step forward, then another. faster this time. I burst into the locker room, breathing hard, heart racing. Everything looked the same. Broken lockers, cracked tiles, that same smell. But something felt different. I scanned the walls quickly. Then I saw it, behind the open locker. A gap, small, almost invisible. I pushed the locker aside. Metal screamed against the floor. And there it was, a narrow door, old, wooden, completely out of place. I grabbed the handle. Behind me, footsteps, fast now, closing in. I didn't think. I opened it and stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me. Silence. Complete. The air changed instantly. Warm. Still. I turned on my flashlight. The room was small, empty, except for one thing. A chair in the center, and above it, a mirror, cleaner than anything else in the gym. I stepped closer, slowly. My reflection appeared. Normal for a second. Then, it spoke. "You still think you can leave?" My breath stopped, because this time, I didn't hear it in my head. I heard it out loud, from the mirror. I stepped back, shaking. "No," I said. "I'm leaving." The reflection smiled, wider than before. "You already tried that." The door behind me disappeared, just like the stairs. I turned back to the mirror. "What do you want from me?" Silence. Then the reflection leaned forward, closer than physically possible. Not want. Pause. Need. My chest tightened. "You're strong." My muscles twitched. "You lasted longer than the others." Behind me, I heard something, scratching on the walls, inside the room. "They break quickly," the reflection whispered. "But you..." The smile widened even more. "You can hold something bigger." The walls started moving, breathing, closing in. And I realized this wasn't a hiding place. This was a test. The walls kept closing in, slow, breathing, alive. My chest tightened as the space shrank around me. That mirror, that thing wearing my face, it was still smiling, waiting. "You can't leave," it said calmly. "You were never meant to." I looked at my hands, veins bulging, muscles twisted. Not mine anymore. For a moment, I almost gave up. Maybe this was it. Maybe I was just another body, another vessel. But then, I remembered something. Why I came here. Not for cheap membership, not for empty space. I came here because I wanted control. Over my body, over my limits. And now, something else was trying to take that away. No. I stepped forward, toward the mirror. The reflection paused. For the first time, it stopped smiling. "You don't understand," it said. "I do." I grabbed the chair, lifted it with everything I had left, and smashed it straight into the mirror. The sound wasn't glass breaking. It was a scream. The entire room shook violently, walls twisting, breathing faster, like something was panicking. The reflection cracked, not like glass, like skin, peeling, tearing. And behind it, I saw the truth. That massive thing, not behind the gym, not controlling it, trapped inside it, using bodies, using strength, trying to grow, to escape. And I was next. "No more," I whispered.
I grabbed the broken shard, my hand bleeding instantly. The voice screamed now, no longer calm, no longer controlled. "Stop!" But I didn't. I drove the shard into the mirror again, and again, and again. Each strike, weaker light, louder screams, until everything went silent. Pitch black. No walls, no room, no gym. Just me, on the ground, breathing. Alone. I woke up outside. Morning light hit my face, cold air in my lungs. I was lying on the pavement, right above the same place. But there was no entrance, no sign, nothing, just solid ground. I sat up slowly. My body ached, every muscle screaming, but they felt normal, almost. I looked at my hands, still bigger than before, veins still visible, a reminder of what almost happened, or what did happen. I stood up, turned away, and walked. I never went back. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I still hear it, a faint metallic clink, like someone, somewhere, is still doing reps. And sometimes, when I look in the mirror, for just a second, I see that smile again, waiting. If this story stayed with you, if you still feel like something is watching you from the dark, then don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because this isn't just a story. It's a place where we explore what shouldn't exist, what hides in silence, and what waits when you're alone. New stories every night. And trust me, the next one might be worse.